Well, welcome everyone. This is one of the first town halls that we're doing at the New Times. This is session one for more the Australian time zone, as well as an earlier start in the UK. So we'll try and keep this going. If anybody has any feedback on timings, do let us know, but hopefully it works, having two different ones. Yeah, so we're going to do a bit of an update on billing today. It's been a hot topic this year. I've been pretty stuck on, well, pretty in the weeds with it for a while, but now we've got it all ready and just want to discuss it with you guys and get some feedback on it in terms of helping you understand the new plans, but also look at migrating over to the new reseller model as well. Quickly before that, because that can obviously take a bit of time, we're going to have just let you guys know and make sure everyone's aware of the new status page updates, and that we're going to be doing more there to update you on how of any service issues or anything like that, or any upcoming maintenance. And then I'm also going to do a quick, well, highlight a new template that's in the marketplace for building portals that should speed up portal development, and a couple of other bits maybe as well. So I will share my screen and we can get started. Yeah, just firstly, I don't know, everyone should be aware of our status page. It used to be on uptime.siteglide.com, and we've now moved that to status.siteglide.com. It's more standard, I would say. That's where people would probably expect to go to. So just be aware of the new URL. We did put it in the Discord channel as well. And we've made a few improvements to it, hopefully. Firstly, and probably most importantly, you can now get updates on anything that's happening here. So just put your email address in and it will subscribe you to get updates on basically any issues, like incidents, as well as any maintenance that's happening. So a good example of that is, it'll show it on the homepage as well, but there's this maintenance page here. We just go back to the, status page. You'll see down here that there's, so that's a previous incident, and then yes, maintenance will show upcoming. And at the top here, it shows you the next one that's coming up. So that's a Platform OS update. They did one last week. Some nice improvements in there, actually. We'll find out more about that soon, but some of it would allow for sort of AI functionality being built into the platform more easily. So they made an update last week on Oregon, and then this is just an announcement that there's one on the 25th of May for Sydney, London, and staging sites. So definitely recommend subscribing to get updates from those. We will still try and put everything in the service status Discord channel, but definitely worth being aware of this and up to date on the updates. We're also going to give more detail if we can, as quickly as we can and as much detail as we can, so that you can help notify customers of any incidents or issues or degraded service or anything like that. So just put one in here from last week. There was just a period during 16th of May where I think admin was a little bit slower. Let me just check people can join okay. 1 second. Apologies, just 1 second. Yeah, looks like people enjoy the meeting. Okay, cool. I'll share that again. Yeah, so there's a period where it was just slower to use, I think, in the admin and the CLI, and we just wanted to give an update on that. To be honest, whenever this does happen, which hopefully is pretty few and far between, it's generally not a SiteGlide related service. It's normally some sort of third party, either going slow or making a change. So in this case, it was actually that's a third party changed an IP address, and then Platform OS saw that as a DDoS attack. So firstly, they whitelisted the IP, which solved it immediately, but the complete solution to that is they're now not going to rely on fixed IP address. We're going to use our specific token, so we'll always be whitelisted for things like that. It never happened before. IP, it was a fixed IP address, and it was changed. So it's one of those quite strange ones, but we've done all we can with Platform OS to mitigate that one at least. That shouldn't happen again. But yeah, just we'll give you as much information as we can, and that allows you to speak to your customers and give them a heads up. We always want to try and be the first to it and tell you about it. Obviously, it's not. We don't want you guys to have to tell us about anything. Yeah, so that's the main updates there. You still get all of the detail of uptime and stuff. They're just in a drop down now, just so that you can see the incidents. So you can click through those. Any questions at all on that? Cool. Okay, just if you think of anything later, just shout. Yeah, so that was one thing from last week. Another one to quickly mention before we go into billing is just so that you're aware, just a heads up. If you go on the marketplace now and go to the template category, you'll see there's an extra one for just refresh the page 1 second, for a portal site. So the current ones, there's like a basic landing page one, there's a main marketing website. Just put that back in. There we go. Landing page, marketing site. There's a Bootstrap. The old demo site that we had in Bootstrap is still there, and now there's this portal site. So with that, it would have things like secure zones and everything built in. I'll just quickly go to the front end of that. Sorry, to the site where that's. So I did a literally from the marketplace. I clicked on it and created a site from the template. That's just a one click process. It'll then give you the site at the back end. Sorry, this one. And then in here, you'll see things like secure pages have already been set up, login process, sign up, all of that's all in there. Different secure zones for different processes and people. And then also a couple of web apps as well to manage data. It's very hard in the template to know what to build, and there's different use cases that you would have. But this example is just like a company directory, really. So the front end would be a directory of companies. You could change that to be whatever you wanted with a list view and a detail page. And then you can do, and then people would log in to get to a dashboard area. And then from in there, people could create their own companies, submit them via the front end if you wanted them to, using a web app front end submit form. They could manage their items and create things like offers and stuff. That's just another web app. You could create your own on top and use the same layouts or use new layouts. And then see a list of all the other front end ones, public ones as well. Manage your profile, that kind of stuff. So it's a fairly simple portal at this stage, but it gives you all the bare bones to get started. So if you literally just wanted to give clients a login area to download some documents or manage some items, this gives you pretty much everything you need, and you just either customize or build on top. Any questions on that at all? Obviously, it's built with, this one's built with Flowbyte and Site Builder, so you'd still be able to do everything on top using Site Builder if you wanted to. You could build out more pages. You could, so you'll see there's two templates. There's the portal template on the front end. Portal is going to have a nice dashboard on it. That's new. And then the front end, that's the front end template without it. And obviously you can then install any new layouts as normal and manage it that way. There's one extra feature that's worth mentioning on the settings page, which is called integration keys. At some point, this might move to be within Site Manager potentially, but for now, that's where you'd put a TinyMCE API key if you want to be able to use the front-end editor. Let me have a quick show of this. This has actually been discussed quite a bit in Discord last week. I happened to notice that a few people were talking about building front-end submission and what they use for WYSIWYG rich text. So what's been done with this one is SiteGuru's team have used TinyMCE, which is a pretty, I think everybody's probably used that at some point. So that's fully integrated. All you have to do though is register the domain. So what you would do is you would create your account with Tiny, and then you would be able to reset that or do a different account, but you'd get your API key from your account with Tiny. you'd put in your domain that you want to whitelist, and then you just drop that into here, and you'd be able to use that as normal. And then otherwise, yeah, it's as normal. It's a pretty simple front end submission, web app item submit. Any questions? Let me know. Obviously, design wise, it is just Flowbyte. You could chuck in whatever you wanted. We just kept it really simple for now, but you could design or build anything on top.
How does? Oh, sorry, Liz. Sorry.
We clashed. So essentially, there's no reason why we couldn't add this Flowbyte portal into an existing Bootstrap site, could we? Because it's just a secure zone. Yeah, very interesting.
So the way SiteGuide's always worked is you have templates. So as long as you have a separate template for Flowbyte, then yeah, there's no reason why you can't run Tailwind and Bootstrap on the same site. We obviously say that you just need to be careful with that kind of stuff and just make sure you don't have any sort of conflicting code or anything, but you shouldn't do if you're running different templates.
Who built this one? Who was the vendor? Who was the vendor?
Oh, sorry, it's SiteGurus, so it's us essentially, cool. But those guys are actually building. Yeah, we've obviously split the two teams. One working on the product, one working on using the product and enhancing the product and making it easier for you guys. So Site Builder is kind of the umbrella for most of that. We tried to standardize it so that and obviously bringing in something like Flowbyte really helps standardize and leverage all of those that good quality layouts. So yeah, it's just another site or another template built with Site Builder and available using the marketplace functionality.
How does this template deal with user permissions? And so say you've got a manager, you've got a front end manager. I mean, this is something we've been working on for a client for a couple of years and eventually managed to get working. But how does this system work with different levels of access, I suppose you'd call it?
It's a good question. I haven't used it enough or spoken with Matt recently enough. All I would say is the best place to check would be Secure Zones, and you'll see that there's two different user types. So an admin, I believe, would be somebody that can manage the whole account, I assume, and then what was the other type?
You had
a portal user would be somebody that can just submit items to it or something. The point is you can do whatever you want. You could add a third one and you could add your own permissions. That's the starting point. I think if anybody used this and gave us feedback, we could obviously add more in if there was a very standard generic type. Otherwise, we would leave that more for like custom development.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Cool.
But you can do anything basically, as we're just trying to make it quicker and easier. Cool. Yeah, so Matt Jones on the SiteGurus team has been building this one. It's just the start, really. We can do quite a lot more with it. It's just to get something up and running. I think we haven't promoted it yet because we're just going to do a few more checks and maybe add a few more bits in. But it is available to use, and if anybody did use it and give us some feedback, that'd be very, very helpful.
Yeah, we've got a client who's just starting building a portal for. Which I know our guys are using Flowbyte and Tailwind, their components to do it.
Right.
I'll get them to have a look at this and see if it's any use, compatible to what we need to do, and then feedback if required to help you guys out as well.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is the bare bones, and I would say some of the hardest, not hardest, but you've probably found on projects, the workflows are often the most time-consuming bit, and even just sign up and reset password and all of that kind of stuff, all of that's built in. To be honest, that's probably the most valuable part of this at the moment that you would always need. So I'd definitely look at starting from it. I mean, if you're using Flowbyte anyway, there's probably not a lot you wouldn't want. So yeah, definitely worth having a look.
Cool.
I know we've done quite a lot because Site Builder uses, we've got forms are a bit easier to manage using Site Builder because of the dynamic way that we've done. So actually the whole process for logging in and sign up and handling forms is pretty well fleshed out now, because obviously we put a lot of time into getting it right for the templates. So yeah, definitely have a look at that side of things. You should be able to control this form in the normal site builder way, where it dynamically updates the fields and everything.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, have a play around and let us know. That'd be really, really useful. And we'll keep adding more and more to the marketplace when we can. I think if there's any specific module requests, we can. I think a good example of that is a gallery module. Quite a few people ask about it. The problem is there's so many different ways you can do it. So I think somebody just needs to get started. We probably just need to release a gallery module, and then somebody might, do something a little bit different. You've always got the decision of whether you're going to do like an individual item per image, or whether you're going to do an array of images, or an individual item per album. There's all those kind of decisions to make. So yeah, it'd be great to see people sort of building something and putting it into the marketplace. Cool. Okay, I think that covers everything there. The only last one, this is very early days and probably a bit too soon to talk about it, but at the obviously we've been keeping an eye on AI for a while now, but at the conference in Dominican Republic last week or week before as well, we were there for a partner, WSI, that we work with. We've got quite a few customers that are part of that franchise and big group, and they brought in it was a big convention that they do, and they brought in someone to talk about AI from the AI Marketing Institute, I think it is, in the States. And it was a pretty big eye-opener. I thought I knew quite a bit about it already, but the way it's accelerating and the way it's going to take over some of the way software can work is you can have different views on it, but it's pretty exciting, a little bit scary, but so much potential there for speeding things up, making things easier, and just doing really clever things with data. So we've been playing around with it for a while. I'm sure everyone has, but we've been really thinking about how we can get it into the products. I think the biggest way overall for SiteGlide is to just make data accessible and make it possible to integrate any AI that comes along. So whether it's writing a blog post or something like that, you can very easily write something that will write your blog post, but write it in a SiteGlide format and put it into the blog module, for example. That's a pretty easy use case. A slightly harder one is trying to build code or pages or dynamic content with AI. That obviously has to be very specific to SiteGlide or specific to the framework that you're using or something. And then finally, the other type would be things like automations, reporting, that kind of stuff. But just a very quick example that Matt Jones again was playing around with, just so that we can look into it, was the idea of trying to build out a Flowbyte or Tailwind section based on something you give it. So you could obviously just build a static layout like some of these really quickly. But what if you wanted to build like a blog list, let's say? So he gave it, I think he just gave it a little bit of information. He gave it the schema and the form. Sorry, he gave it an items sort of JSON, the output of what an item is with the fields. And then he just asked for it to create some HTML using Tailwind and Liquid to code it. And it coded out a section which looks like this, just a very basic blog card using Tailwind and using the SiteGlide fields that you have in the blog. You could obviously use that for a web app as well. You can do whatever you want. So pretty powerful what we can end up doing with it, and what you guys would be able to do as well. I think trying to empower developers to do whatever you want with AI is a far better route than us trying to say you can only do X, Y, and Z. So we're trying to look at that at the moment, just to make it really easy for you to implement AI into your processes. The last example that I think is really interesting, I'd like to look at more, is reporting. We've obviously got the reporting suite in the back end, but I think the idea of being able to create your own reports, developer kind of create a report based on GraphQL. So saying, I want to get all customers from the CRM where they signed up in the last week or something, you sort of give it those kind of filters, you could potentially tell chat GPT that, and it can go and create that query for you and pull out the data, or any other types of AI. So there's quite a lot going on that we can look into more. Perhaps get us some discussion going on in Discord for it. Anything on that? Pretty big topic, but thought I'd quickly.
Yeah, our guys have already started using ChatGPT to write stuff for SiteGlide when they get stuck. Just
interesting.
Just see what they were talking about it on Monday or yesterday in our meeting. And they say, yeah, we're already using it to get over hurdles, work out the correct syntax for liquid and all this kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely at a pace. Definitely at a pace.
I think the training side is very interesting, and it'd be great to collaborate more on that, because if it can just help answer those things that you can spend ages on Stack Overflow on, that would just be a huge improvement.
It's true. Stack Overflow is a problem because it takes you about an hour to find the right answer.
Exactly.
And then you get to the bottom of it and it's not right.
Yeah. Interestingly, one client, they have a third-party major system that they use for property descriptions for properties for sale. And that particular third party has already introduced AI to help them write the property description.
Wow,
So
yeah.
what I can see would be useful for product descriptions, just in e-commerce, to write that, to put that out. Yeah, so it's just inbuilt. So not sure how it's done, but that was a really good example I've just seen this week. And I have used it in Liquid already. Yep, it's been very helpful.
Really interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. So yeah, we need to get the discussion going. I think I'll probably do a specific channel in Discord so people can talk about it. Yeah. I think your example there with products is great, but the scope for it is huge, and I think that's our biggest challenge. Our biggest challenge is we could spend all our time just creating new AI related things, and I think what we need to do is not do that. We need to enable everyone else to do that, and just make it easier and easier to work, either integrating it into work to SiteGlide, or work with SiteGlide data or whatever it might be. So basically, if you can do it, if we allow you to do it for products, you can do it for blogs, you can do it for web apps, you can do it for anything. So I think that's where we'll try and focus at first, and then obviously SiteGurus can be the create the specific use cases as well as you guys, hopefully, and either charge for them in the marketplace or potentially give them away, or just keep them for yourselves. Cool, very interesting. I'll definitely set something up in Discord for that, because it's I mean, it's moving at a huge pace and we want to keep up or get ahead of it. Cool. Okay, I probably should get on to billing. I'm going to try and keep it quick. But yeah, there's a bit to cover on that. So firstly, to say that the new pricing is live. So from a site plan perspective, if you go to the pricing page now, it just shows the lowest plan, a middle plan-ish, and then enterprise for annual and different currencies. And then if you're in the back end, let's try and find it. There we go. You'll see all the different plans available from Essential to Enterprise with the new unit model. And there's a tab for reseller. And at the moment, it just shows the graphic with a little bit of information. Well, basically just the graphic. Now, this is what's going to be released very soon. We basically built it. We've got the UI for it. If I just quickly show you the basic UI, where you see a breakdown of all your different sites and usage. The trickier bit has been to just check that. Yeah, cool. The trickier bit has been to help work out how to map you guys onto it, because obviously it is a very, very different model to. Sorry, just someone just joining the chat. The call. It's a very, very different model to the current site plan model. Just say hello quickly. Hi, is that Paulus? I don't think you've joined us before.
No, it's actually Tim.
Oh, Tim.
Tim James,
sorry.
from Feature IT. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Sorry, I'm late. I was just in another meeting, but I wanted to
No worries
jump
at all.
in and see how it's all
Perfect
going.
timing. Perfect timing, because I know you want to hear about the billing side. So yeah, we'll get on to that. Sorry, the name threw me.
I don't even know what the name says.
Yeah, Paulus, I think it is.
Oh no, Paul's is
Don't
in
worry.
here as well. So Paul's is another picture IT person.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll give a I'll literally quickly cover things, and then you can maybe go back to the recording. But I just quickly updated on the status page. There's just a few updates there, including adding maintenance in. So yeah, just probably watch the recording if you want to find out about that. There's a new template in Marketplace for building portals, nice and quickly. That's really powerful. And then I very, very quickly showed off some AI. We're playing about with AI and working out how we can get that into the product. So asking it to write a blog layout, giving it the SiteGlide blog structure for an item, and then asking it to write some code, and it just created a list view card very, very easily. Obviously very basic, but it's just an example of what can be done. And it was interesting hearing from Liz and John that you guys are already using AI to help with solving SiteGlide coding questions, like working out what liquid to use and that kind of stuff. So we'll definitely get a discussion going in Discord to talk about that and see how we can all use AI better. But yes, I was just moving on to the billing side of things and pricing changes. So the new pricing is live. We've got the new site plans live on the website, and in the back end, you'll see those plans available as well. So if you put a new site live the normal way, you would pick one of these plans and do it on a site plan basis. But the exciting bit is being able to move to the reseller model. So obviously reseller is where you get one subscription and it totals up all of your instances, domains, and then units. And you get the economies of scale on the units that customers wouldn't get if they came directly. They would pay a much higher unit rate because they've only got the one site and a lower amount of units. So building that has actually been way simpler than we expected because it's simple. We kept it nice and simple. The new plans are quite simple as well. We've overhauled billing to improve it and get rid of any other sort of issues we had there. The tricky bit has been working out how to get you guys onto the reseller plan, because all your existing sites are just completely different to that model. They're all different amounts of usage, different plans over a period of time, all sorts of things. So I've been pretty focused on that in the last couple of months, trying to work out how we handle that and how we try and make it do it correctly. And the one rule we've had from the beginning in negotiating this with Platform OS and being able to make it work is that we're just going to map it so that the spend is the same. So effectively in one day, you could switch over to the reseller plan. Your spend will be exactly the same or very, very close. You might get a bit of a saving. And then from there, you're just doing all your sites on that one model. So I wanted to try and quickly demonstrate that. What we'll be doing is we'll be coming to each partner individually and saying, look, here's your total usage across all your sites. Here's what it looks like on the new plan. And in the cases where, I'll just go to this quickly. Yeah, step one will be to review the data. So we'll look at all of them. We'll put them into a list for you and show you what you're using. Map it onto the new plan and see if the spend is higher or lower, basically, because the only way this works is if we at least get it the same to start with, and then obviously over time you'll either hopefully build more sites or use more or whatever it is, or you might have to remove a few here and there. So if the amount is higher than you're currently spending, what we're going to do is apply a discount or add free units, a mix of the two, to make sure that your current spend and your future spend without any of your discount codes match or very close to. We just want to make it as close to what it is at the moment as possible. And then we would send that across to you, discuss it with you, and once approved, if you want to, we would literally just move those across to one subscription, and you'd be able to manage that in the new UI, where you'd see a breakdown of all your sites and usage, and then in Stripe you'd get a breakdown of the invoice and the costings. Hopefully that makes sense. Just a couple of notes, and we will do more on this. We'll send out more information, but I just wanted to show it to you and maybe get a little bit of feedback if there's a glaring thing to talk about. But first site on the reseller plan is free, so that's the instance, and that kind of sort of helps cover the free partner sites concept that some people have. Basically, everybody will get a free instance and effectively use that slot. Then the migration offer, we're probably going to only make that offer available for a short amount of time, probably something like 30 days. A few reasons for it, really. It will keep changing usage wise, so we need to be able to get a line and draw a line in the sand and get it done. Admin wise, we want to kind of focus all our attention on that, and it will make, there should be no reason not to. It'll either make sense or it won't, and you either will probably, hopefully, you want to simplify billing and just switch it over. So the other option is just to use the reseller plan for new sites if you want to, or migrate just individual sites, but it's likely to work out more expensive because you're not going to have the same economies of scale on the unit rate. So it's the whole idea of it is you put more on there and it gets cheaper. So it's probably worth doing. Any questions before I give an example from anyone?
So
I'm good.
just the fact that obviously we have a huge, well, I'd say we've got about 15 or so licenses that we hold, that we then build sites onto and then recycle them. So essentially that wouldn't be required anymore, is what you're saying. Am I correct?
Do you mean you've got some blank ones?
Yeah, exactly. We got blanks where people have left us, so we keep the old site, and then we build a new site on it and recycle the license because we bought it in a pack of 10 or something, so it was cheaper to keep that going as opposed to starting a new site from scratch, if you see what I mean.
The general theory with reseller is you shouldn't be paying for anything that you don't need. The migration is a little bit trickier, and we're having to include certain things to make it map well. So we might be giving you some free sites, for example, or some free units or something to try and make it map better. But in theory, you shouldn't need to keep some there there won't be any of the old discounts or specific site pricing.
We'll have a chat, as they say.
Yeah.
When it comes to us, we'll have a chat. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be sending across something. I think what I'm about to show you will help answer that as well. So some of this is internal, but I'm just trying to show it as an example. Basically, I've been sifting through all the data, and I have a spreadsheet that, like this, that just has every agency in there, and I can see all the data, and I can work out what the current spend is versus the new model, all that kind of stuff. So then it maps across to a specific agency, and I can look at that deal, that in detail for one agency. Now, if we take agency X, who has 10 sites, 10 domains, and 51,000 units in total, which is record storage, emails, and API calls. And as an example, has a current spend of $400 a month, but without any discounts from previous old sites would be 600. Then that's what I'm obviously trying to map, and I'm trying to make sure that it works out the same. Now, on the new model, in this example, it is just an example. Your current would be 400, but the new would be 519. And obviously, we're not going to come to you and go, sorry, it's now 519. We want to make that the same. So what we do is we apply. I'm applying specific things to each agency to make that work. So in this case, it would be a discount code applied to the remaining time that you have left on your current discounts. So that's why it's 400, not 600. So let's say you've got another 2 years of 20% discount or whatever that works out to be. I would apply a discount code to match that for that period of time, and then it would revert back to a different price. In some cases, you'll find that your future price is less than your current future one without discounts. Nothing we can really do about that. Like you might benefit there. But yeah, we want to make sure that you're not spending any more money than you currently do, and we want to try and make it the same if we can, because that's obviously quite important for us, having negotiated that deal with Platform OS as well. And it's probably quite important for you with your customers to make sure that the spend is the same. Or the great thing about this new model, the reseller model, is in theory it should be less over time, because you're only going to pay for what you use. You might charge your clients for growth. You might have your own version of this, or you might use our plans, but they're not going to be using exactly 25,000 units. As you probably find at the moment, some of your customers are only using half that maybe. So with the reseller model, you're benefiting from that difference, and you're only going to pay us for the amount you actually use. So over time, you should find that it's simpler, cheaper, and just better. It means that you can sell sites from basically any price now going forwards, and we're even going to have incentives that we can bring in to help with that, and different offers and stuff where we could potentially give away sites at a discounted rate or whatever. So the main focus at the moment is just trying to map what you've currently got to the new model. So yeah, you'll essentially receive one of these from me very, very soon that outlines what you've got, what that looks like as a current spend, what it would look like with the new spend, with some offers applied to make it work. There's obviously different types. I think this example is where, there might be an example where we give you some free units instead because your future spend is too high, for example. So in this case, we would apply some free units to help bring the future spend down to what it should be. Long story short, I'm going to make sure that you're definitely not spending any more than you currently do, maybe a little bit less, and that it's mapped to take into account any discounts we've already given you. We want to honor those discounts if they've got another couple of years running or something like that. So that's how we'll do it with a discount code for that period of time. I hope that made some sense. It will make a lot more when I send it across. I just wanted to see if there was any glaring thing to mention or any feedback.
No,
So far,
So I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah, seems fairly straightforward, Luke.
Wow. That's one thing I didn't think it was.
A lot simpler than it used to be. So we'll go with that.
Good. And Tim, I think you might have answered.
no, I was just saying, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the example, because for me, as you said, it's not even necessarily about getting a cheaper deal. It's just about having more clarity around it, because it sometimes I just struggle to keep up with all the different plans I've got for different customers. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to just having a simple thing for everyone.
Me too. I've said to many people over the years, it's my biggest frustration. We set out to make billing really work for agencies, and it doesn't currently. It's hard to manage. Whereas this, I really think will. You'll literally have to monitor a few metrics. You'll be able to delve into a particular site. Like if you see one site is still too high on something, you'll be able to delve in and deal with that. But it will be far more. The impact won't hit you anywhere near as much. Like currently, overages are quite expensive, and it's something I raised with Platform OS a long time ago. It felt like it was a penalty, whereas now you've just got one unit rate. If something goes over by a little bit, it's not going to have a huge cost, and then by next month you'll have potentially removed it if you need to. So you'll have much more clarity, much more control, and I think a lot more opportunity to either make good margins or take on any project. If you had a client who just wants a landing page you'll just be able to get it up and running with with minimal cost, and know that you don't have to worry about overages, don't have to worry about upgrades or anything like that. It's just your total usage. Liz,
Have
anything
you-
that stood out for you?
Sorry, Luke, have you solved the issue? You may have spoken about this previously, where if you're on a site and you delete a load of records, it still was coming through as the records were still coming through as existing on the on your billing.
It depends whether you're talking about Peak. So Peak will still exist. That
Yeah.
model has to stay in place. So if they've been there at any point in that month, or the highest value is what you pay based on. This model you now pay in arrears. So you're always going to pay everything in arrears based on what the peak was. Is there a specific issue then where
I'm
deleting
just racking my brain from months ago when we'd clear out a site, and it would still show the fact that it had, I don't know, 300 records on it, even though we deleted them from the admin side, but they were still appearing somewhere on a database somewhere, whether that's OS or whether that's on with yourselves or whatever, and then it just wouldn't delete even if you hit delete. You see what I mean?
One thing we have done is we have overhauled basically all of the code that sits behind the scenes for billing. It was like many things, it sort of got built on top of and became a bit hard to manage. So it's now very, very clean, partly thanks to a simplified model, but actually being able to just go through it and check those things. So what was happening previously is, I think in some places we'd be getting data from Platform OS.
Yeah.
And it would be different to some data that maybe we've stored in the database when you're on a different plan or something like that. So it's possibly it was something like one of those kind of things, which now just shouldn't exist. We've been through everything. Yeah.
Nice.
Obviously, with a new model, there might be a bit of a few things to highlight. So if you notice anything that looks strange, just let us know. But yeah, it's much simpler at our end now. Cool. Yeah, Liz, did you have any feedback? It's hopefully what you were expecting.
Oh, that's good. So you'll give us the spreadsheets then, by the sounds of it, because I was thinking I'd have to sit down sometime and sort of analyse my own, the usage. But probably for these spreadsheets, I don't need to worry about that. You'll do it for us.
I'll basically do a Google sheet exactly like this, just with your data in it, and we can collaborate on it. So you can at least comment on it and ask me any questions. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good. And this doesn't, it's only live sites, just clarifying that.
Only live sites.
Live sites, perfect. Good.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it will be better. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's usage is different, but I think I've been through as much as I possibly can. I think this works. I've tested it for every agency, and you should find that it maps and makes sense. If the spend's the same, and in some cases you might get some extra instances. What we can also do is, obviously, if you go ahead with it, and we'll monitor it with you as well, and if you notice anything, then we can review that. And if we've got anything, if we've clearly not got a part of the model or something right, or there's something that just needs a little bit of tweaking, we've actually put a lot of mechanisms in place now to be able to tweak quite easily with this sort of concept of if we needed to apply some free units, we could. Obviously, it would have to be because of something that's wrong, but yeah, I wanted to reassure people that our number one aim is to make sure it's correct and doesn't impact you guys negatively at all.
And it's interesting too, it's probably good timing because we're a couple of years in now after this Catalyst. And typically I've noticed a few clients haven't been doing their data cleanups. So it's a good chance now to say, hey guys, you need to look at this. It might mean they get they can pay less. Yeah. So probably good from that point of view as well.
Yeah, that's the final piece of the puzzle, actually. In the presentation that we did, we said that we're going to do site plans, reseller model, and then a hybrid. and that'll be the next
Mm.
thing where you guys think about how you're going to resell this, and you might just keep people on the current plans you have. I think some of you guys just have a set monthly amount that you know you're never going to get to with us, and your margins vary. Some of you might want to map it more sort of like for like. So what we're going to be doing next or soon would be that final piece, which is either giving you access to the data that you can then run your billing off in terms of like in Stripe or something like that, or look at some sort of Stripe Connect hookup where you can automatically bill the customer based on what plan you want to put them on or something. So yeah, I think for now, getting you guys onto the reseller model, look at it, review it, check how it's going at your end, and then maybe look at how you can improve the billing with the customers. And to your point, yeah, you might either want to help them go on to a cheaper plan with you by using less, or you have them on a set plan and your margin is kind of determined by how much they use. So yeah, if you help them keep their usage down, you remove things they don't need, that's a service you're providing, and potentially you're benefiting from that. I don't know, everyone can do it differently.
Mm.
Yeah, I think what I'm really hoping is it removes sometimes there had been a barrier where you just couldn't justify a certain cost to a customer because they had a whole load of API calls or whatever it might be, and that metric, like everything was just too rigid. Whereas now it's incredibly flexible. It really doesn't matter whether they're a high intensity, high usage on API calls or storage or a mix of all of them or whatever. There will be a way that you can price that up accordingly. Cool.
Well, it's good
Yeah.
that it sort of allows for that, doesn't it? Like allows for different types of sites. You get some data heavy ones, some API heavy ones. So yeah, it's sort of
Exactly.
useful.
That's why I've wanted to go this route, because you should be able to build anything with SiteGlide. We just want to make sure that you can, that it works price wise too. Essentially, you can get somebody up and running publicly from $25 now. Obviously, we used to try and sort of keep back the lower plans to make sure that it wasn't impacting your ability to charge more, but now that is, I mean, obviously it's the basics. It's just 100 units, and your economies of scale mean that you can give away either a lot more or charge a lot less. So there shouldn't be a reason now why, if somebody just wanted to start with a landing page or start with a basic site and then grow, why SiteGlide would be too expensive. I would hope. Cool. Coming up to the hour mark, I'm going to stop there on billing, I think, if there are no other questions, and just hand over to you guys. Is there anything else that is pressing or wanted to discuss?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you. Back in January, you asked us for our thoughts on e-commerce and changes required. How's that coming on?
I've been deep in billing.
I realise
so
that.
I probably can't give you the answer right now. I think have we had specific requests? Sorry, from you on that.
I did your whole list on Discord of what we need e-commerce to do and what we need updated to, because it's frustrating from us and from our clients that we still haven't got functionality that was in place on Business Catalyst, and whilst things should be improved, where it just seems that there are essential things missing that can be, that are basically standard on other platforms such as Shopify, etc. Even Fresh WooCommerce, and you try to sell people an e-commerce solution. It's like, well, can it do this? Can it do that? And it's like, well, not quite yet, but I'm sure it's coming. And it's frustrating for our clients and for us as well as an agency not to be able to provide a sort of standardized e-commerce solution. So yeah, that's take that as a nudge, Luke. So yeah.
Yeah, I do remember one of them now specifically was the way tax was calculated. I remember
Oh
we
yeah, that was
discussed
something
so-
completely different. That was something
Right.
that was brought up subsequent to that.
Okay.
But yeah, that as well being another issue to add on to the other list that we provided back in January. So
Yeah, I will go through that, well, both of those after this call and make sure that we can come back to you on that one.
yeah, thank you, Luke. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, billing has had to take my priority at least, and what I can't wait until that's out of the way, and we can discuss more of those kind of things. I can get back on top of it. Yeah,
Nice.
cool. Anything else? Any issues or requests or anything like that?
Not for me, no, all good.
Good to hear. Cool.
No, nothing on the major side. I think events. There's something in the events module. Oh, I think it's to do with zero payments for giving away free events. But I think we've got a solution to that now. I think there was a good chat in Discord with a couple of guys about using the quote forms and
Okay. Yeah.
And I think we managed to get a solution in place for that now, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely should be a generic solution for that. It's obviously something that people would want to do. So I'll try and check that out and check what that solution was, and either we document it better or
I think it was to do with if the payment value is zero, then it shows just basically using if statements. I think in the
to bypass Stripe.
bypass
Stripe can't handle it.
Yeah, because Stripe always charges you 50p.
Yeah,
zero, which is a pain, but also you need the record of the fact there's a transaction gone on, so you can then that was the other thing. Yeah, so then you could export a list of attendees, which is something that we could really do with on events, because if people are signing up for a certain event, then so as a client they want to see who's actually coming. Can you export the list of people who are easily from the events module? I mean, you could probably do it from the orders and by running a report, but then if they filled in a specific form for that thing, but it's a payment form, so there's not really enough of a clarity in there. And just click a button and say, on the export on the events module, and say I need to export all the attendees or people who've signed up for this event. To a CSV file, or export it into another program via Zapier or what have you. And
no, I totally agree.
Quite handy. That's
a good example of one that is very specific, and it needs to be there on that feature. I think reporting in general, so back to the AI comments, is we would just love you to be able to export whatever you like. give it a set of filters and get that data. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that will work really well.
I'll put my voting too for that free events, because we tend to use payment forms to manage that, like for a form. Which we have to regenerate the form each time. And we've got one way of using a form repeatedly, just a different event name, but sometimes there's different things we need to ask, like dietary or whatever it might be. So it'd be great to have that ability.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Okay, I'll go through those points after this call. I'm going to jot them down. Go through it. Cool. Okay. Well, I think we're at the hour mark, and it sounds like hopefully covered most things. Any last questions, or should we leave it there for now?
All good for me.
Great to hear. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you. Hopefully the billing side of things made sense, and I'll be in touch very, very soon individually to everyone basically about what that would look like for mapping them across. But thanks for your time, everyone, and speak soon.
Cheers, Luke.
Luke.
Thanks, mate.
See you.
See you, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.